This is our audience feedback question for our evaluation. So we've had positive feedback, firstly through the storyline. They really liked the storyline because in some ways it was conventional to the thriller genre, in ways like...
Well, it has many twists and turns. There were psychologically challenged characters. For example, the main character, he kept on seeing numbers and symbols, and that's seen in films like Fight Club where he took inspiration from that. And there are also other influences like the dark nature of the film. It was very underlined by dark tones and a dark atmosphere, which we thought was quite conventional for the thriller genre.
I think we also kind of broke away from the thriller genre in some ways and added new things that we liked, was, for example, the special effects. So using the after effects I think was quite a good idea, because we had the kind of Matrix effect where the numbers rained onto screen and then rained off, which I think is quite a good...
Yeah. And the numbers and symbols coming on screen with the main character who's mentally unstable sort of reflected his mental state, and we thought that was a good idea to challenge the convention a bit and make it more visually imposing on the audience, and we thought we'd try out that new idea.
And when we asked the audience, they all gave positive feedback. That was probably the main thing that they...
Yeah, they thought, especially in particular, the opening section with the Purgatory coming up as the title sequence looked very professional. So that was a good use of the after effects.
They also really liked the title Purgatory. We heard from one group of people who said that they really liked the title because it fitted in with the storyline, and they thought it was good as setting up the mood for the film and knowing what to expect.
And it gave quite religious connotations in a way, and it gave the subtle suggestion of it being somewhere in limbo in the film, so you don't really know who's good and who's bad. And I think setting up that was really important for the film, as the audience got to understand from the off, that there's something wrong about the characters, so they're not conventional.
There was also the colour correction. We colour corrected the scene which took place in the office, so it was the London scene, and we got pretty positive feedback from that.
They liked that bit.
They said it made it look more realistic and more professional.
So what we did basically is we drained the colour, so we used desaturated colour, and we added brightness and contrast. We tinted it white, and then with sort of light blue tint over the top as well to just emphasise the whites and shadows in the scene. And we thought that gave it the concept of a flashback, which worked quite nicely.
And we colour corrected the other scenes as well.
Yeah.
Especially the ones in the studio, to make them to give it a warmer feel in the studio instead of it being very cold and dull, and we thought that made it look a lot better, and so did the audience. They gave positive feedback about that. They said that the room looked like a psychiatrist's room,
but
we
also kept the walls quite bare in the room, because we thought, even though it's slightly warmer colours that you'd expect, we thought if the walls were bare, it would sort of give the impression that even though we've got this warm atmosphere, there's something not quite right, and it could be a sort of dreamlike quality. So we thought that sort of gives hints to the plot.
However, we had negative feedback on the soundtrack, which we do...
we do take on board to improve.
Yeah. Firstly, the big issue, I think, was the sound during the scene where he kills his girlfriend. We think it was a bit too dramatic, and so did the audience. They said that it was a bit... it made it more...
Yeah, it made it too
It took
powerful
away from the scene.
Yeah, so it made it seem like, I don't know, like a great moment in a war film or something, rather than, the intensity of just murdering someone.
For example, when he was drinking the drink, the music crescendoed, and it seemed a bit over the top. Yeah.
So we think if we did that again, we would try and bring down the music and make it a bit more subtle.
Yeah.
So it would reflect the social dynamics as well, rather than just trying to make it like a tremendous moment.
I think we were just trying to increase tension, and it just
we
went too far.
We were trying to make it dramatic. We were trying to make it like a dramatic moment for the murder, but we did take it too far. But that's something to improve if we ever did it again.
There was also that scene again where he murders his girlfriend. It goes silent as he kills her and realises. And we also got feedback saying that we would have changed that as the music crescendoed. It just went silent, and I think it should have probably
just dipped,
faded out.
Faded out.
Better than that.
We actually got the feedback that if we had the soundtrack cut from further on, and then it would have finished and gone quite nicely into that scene rather than just taking the first chunk and just ending it. So that would probably work better. That'd be one thing that's said.
That's a better idea.
We didn't really get much feedback on that in the studio scenes. There was this underlaying static because there was the air vents on, which were quite,
as you can probably hear now,
in post-production were quite annoying, but we couldn't get rid of them. But the audience didn't really seem to pick up on that, even though it was such a
I think one person picked up on it.
The main actor picked up on it when he was listening to it.
He said he'd probably try and do something about that and take off the soundtrack. So I think we'd have to film in a different location next time.
And we should have thought about extra sounds and had it as quietly as possible, and then added static if we wanted it, and etc. So that's something we will improve on in the future.
Editing. Was there any feedback on editing?
I think they generally liked the editing because we used quite a variety of experimental shots. So I think the audience appreciated that we were.
For example, the French tilt.
Yeah, they enjoyed the French tilt because obviously it mirrors his insanity and so on.
And also the contra zoom.
Yeah, it's contra zoom. And that sort of, in a way, explicitly goes to the conventions of the thriller genre, which is really good.
Yeah.